Coming out of Eastern Oregon, damn near Idaho. You're listening to the Double Talkin with Dog Bite Hair Show.
How to treat you right. Tired all the time from staying out all night, and the years went by. Thought I only blinked my eyes. Short on patience, quick to lose my cool. Pedal to the floor just like a one-track fool. I let you slip away off into the passing lane. Looking back in the rearview mirror, I can see things a little more clear. I hope you found what you went looking for. After all this time has passed, nothing compares to the love we had. If I knew what I know now, I would have loved you more. In the dead of night, the rain falls soft and quiet. Takes me back to your sweet love and care. If we met today, when both our hairs turn gray, would you still see the man whose love you shared? Looking back in the rearview mirror, I can see things a little more clear. I hope you found what you were looking for. After all this time has passed, nothing compares to the love we had. If I knew what I know now, I would have loved you more. If I knew what I know now, I would have loved you more.
Alrighty, folks, with me on the Zoom, I got Jesse Daniel. How's it going, man?
Good, Aaron. How you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad. So do you have any idea how good you are?
No.
No.
No, not yet. I don't know. I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
No problem, man. And honestly, when we played together at Jackalope in Pendleton, I didn't know a lot about you. My buddy Felix, who's like a huge country music like connoisseur, like from bottom to the top, was like bragging you up and was like, you got to check this guy out. You got to check this guy out. And I kind of felt like a dick, to be honest. And I definitely wanted to like tell you this story, and it's kind of embarrassing to me a little bit, but
that's all right.
So a lot of times when Felix tells me like about people, it's like people he knows personally.
Sure.
So like I thought you knew him, and like I kind of thought you were like on our level where we played like 5 people in a bar. I didn't realize like you were like blowing the fuck up.
I mean, I was not very long ago. Some places we go, we'll play to 5 people, so you're not far off. But.
No, I get it, but like you were still on a way different level than in my mind that you were at, and or at that time. So it's like I'd looked you up online. I found your Facebook, but I was looking at your like actual personal Facebook. So it said you had like 1,000 people on there. So I thought you only had like 1,000 followers.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, and then I was telling you like, yeah, Shooter was like catching your set, and like I was gonna flag him down because I know him, but like I was like, I want him to go see this guy play. And you're like, no, I
Yeah.
know Shooter.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh. And then I like looked at your Facebook again later, and you had like 20,000 fans. I was like, son of a bitch. Like
Oh,
I had no
that's
idea.
all good, man. I mean, that's no, it's all good. And that stuff's like you never know too. With some like in the age of people buying followers, people can do that
Yeah.
now, and some people will do that, and you never really know what's real and what's not. So
No, no, and that doesn't have anything to do with it. I just like so I love music, man. I love hearing new music, but and I don't want this to make me sound like a snob because this isn't the case of it, but like there's so much out there right now that I've kind of like stopped looking hard for it and letting it find me. I
I
feel like
I can agree with that, man. I kind of we're inundated with stuff, kind of all the time, and everybody. It's not like the old days where you had to have like a record label put your record out and that was what you heard was on the radio. It's like now everybody with a 4-track recorder, can make something, put it on SoundCloud or Bandcamp, and then they have their music. There's just a ton of stuff out there right now. Sure.
yeah, and I find when I go look for it, I don't find what I'm looking for. I find a lot of things that don't like hit my soul,
Sure.
Find some things that are good, but it's not like that. I find that stuff that hits my soul. So it was cool, man. And speaking of like so easy to record, that's another thing too, is you get a lot of people where you'll hear their album and they won't sound like that live. And fuck, you bring it fucking live, man. There's I think you got one of the best fucking live sets for country music out there right now, in my opinion. Your band is fucking hot, dude.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah. We kind of pride ourselves in trying to put on the best live show possible. And I'm always kind of riding my guys, asses to try to sound as close to the record as possible, while still leaving a little bit of their own personal feel and kind of, getting a little loose and wild with it sometimes.
Yeah, because live, you definitely want to spice it up sometimes, Like, I feel like there's definitely room to maybe throw a little distortion on some shit you wouldn't on the album,
Sure. We play stuff a little quicker sometimes, like Soft Spot for the hard stuff on the record is actually pretty slow, but like live, we play it quite a bit quicker. So we do stuff like that, kind of spice it up.
Which, by the way, is probably one of like the coolest one-liners I've ever heard in the song. Period. Too a soft spot for the hard stuff.
I appreciate it.
That's good,
man.
But yeah, I was sitting backstage. It was so fucking hot that day, and I hadn't seen Shooter yet. And you were playing. The doors were open. I was watching you from behind. Then all of a sudden, Shooter and the whole fucking band, just as second they heard you, they came fucking hauling ass out of that back room they were at and ran right past me. It was fucking awesome. They were like so stoked to see you.
Yeah, they're great, man. And Shooter's he's kind of become a friend of ours, and he's just a badass and an artist that I've liked for a really long time. And I remember years ago I got to open for him where I grew up in Santa Cruz, California. He's playing a venue called Moe's Alley, and I got to open up for him there. And that's kind of when we got to meet. And he had heard my name around, a little bit. He had some friends tell, him to check my music out. And it was kind of like we were just talking about, where you're inundated with so much stuff and people being like, hey, check my buddy out. You're kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. But I think that, we just talked music for a long time and hit it off. And Shooter's just one of the most, I don't know him very well, but just from how I do know him, like he's one of the most humble dudes you'll ever meet, especially for having your dad be Waylon Jennings, and having his own badass career and having produced all the records he has and stuff. He's just down to earth and really cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely easy to talk to. There's not a fucking ounce of ego in that guy.
No, that's it.
Yeah, and the same can be said for you too, man. Like you walked up to me and told me you liked my set, and I was like, wow, that's awesome, because
you guys sounded great, man.
Yeah, the sound was kind of shit that day, but and I was playing on a blown ACL. I blew my ACL out 2 days before that and didn't
Oh,
get diagnosed yet. And I was like, we'd went on a 4-day run. I had food poisoning for half of it too. Jesus Christ.
oh
But yeah.
damn.
Luckily, by the time we got to Jackalope, I was feeling better. But fuck, I was beat up. Your
Hanging on
wife,
by a thread.
yeah, your wife was like so nice. Like I showed up and I was like, our merch station was like set up next to each other, and I was like, "Can I have this chair? I can barely walk."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. You were on crutches, weren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, my knee was like swelling up like a cantaloupe.
Better now.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, it took a year to get in and doing physical therapy. Anybody who's listening that ever has an ACL or any problem, I highly suggest like physical therapy beforehand. I think that's what saved me. I was supposed to be out for like 2 months and I ended up back to work in like 3 weeks. So
Oh wow.
yeah, I've been working on my health and shit a lot anyway. So like I was up to like 450 pounds for a minute, and now I'm down to like 330, I think. So
Right on. Good for
just
you.
eating better and doing the gym. But if I would have been in that shape when that happened, I think I would have been fucked, you know.
Oh yeah.
So
That's hard.
I was blessed that I started my progress before all that happened.
Yeah, that's good, man.
But yeah, I remember just being like, this guy's like the nicest fucking dude, man. And like you were probably, you know, you're definitely one of the better sets that night. I think Gears and Shooters were the ones I enjoyed the most. I can't remember. There was a band that played from Portland that was really good too that night.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, the Something Billies that I really.
Oh, the Lonesome Billies.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
them. They're good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty good too.
Badass.
I've seen Darcy Carlson a bunch. I used to book her at my music festival in Pendleton. So she's good, but I just had seen her before, you know?
Sure.
So let's see. I want to pick your brain on just like some random stuff since you've been touring like crazy lately.
Yeah.
For the past when did you started your first album came out in 2018, right?
Yeah. 2018.
Were you playing before you put that album out and touring and stuff, or?
Yeah. Yeah. I really started doing this in like 2015. That was kind of when I first, I made my first EP that was out there for a while, and I actually took off of everything. And I found the last 2 copies of it on eBay, and I bought it because I didn't want anybody to hear that thing. I was like, it was my first humble stab at making, country music and making my kind of thing. So I feel like that's really when it started. I made that EP, and then 2016, I kind of started going on just, West Coast runs, doing California, Oregon, and Washington. And then, after that, I met Jody in 2016. And that's, shortly thereafter in 2017 is when I got sober. So I kind of decided to, Jody really helped me to do both those things, to like, focus my energy and to kind of focus my career. Because I was pretty aimless, didn't really have a direct path to what I wanted to do. And 2017, we ended up recording that record that came out the following year. And then that was really when we started touring. Before that, it was a lot of just regional stuff. But 2018 was when we kind of started doing more of the national thing.
Wow. Oh, that's cool. She was with you before you got sober, huh?
Yeah, for a while.
That's a good woman. Hold on to that one, man.
Truly, man. Yeah, she, we were together, partying and whatnot. And she always was the kind of person who just, could drink and have a good time and party, but it wasn't like a serious problem for her or anything. And she had heard a lot of like old friends of mine that she'd meet and family kind of be like, hey, watch out for Jesse. You could get really crazy. You don't know what, you could get into if he keeps drinking and doing that. She didn't take it that seriously. She didn't realize how serious it was. And then after about, 6 months of being together, that's kind of when I got back into drugs and stuff. And then did that for a little while. She found out about it. Inevitably, it was kind of just one of those things that was bound to happen. And I just remember being relieved when she did, because I was just completely over it at that point. I had done it for years off and on, and wanted to change. And so that was kind of the catalyst for that.
Well, good, man. Yeah. And then, so I'll come back to that question, Jack, actually, because it's a good segue into talking about your sobriety a little bit.
Yeah, sorry I railroaded that a little bit, but
No, that's good. That's just how I like to fucking do shit, anyways. I don't like a structured interview. They're annoying to me. So, but so I was also reading a bit of your bio. So you started out in punk bands down that way, right?
yeah.
Do you got any punk bands that you're in that have anything out like you were willing to drop on here?
Yeah, for sure. I was with a band called Three Up Front, and it's just number 3 up front. And I started playing with those guys when I was probably 16 or 17, and they were all in their mid to late 20s and some in their early 30s, and they were all quite a bit older than me, so they were kind of like older brothers in a way. Started playing with them, and they kind of gave me my first taste to like touring regionally. We used to go up, do a lot of like Reno, Tahoe, go down to Southern California and play, go up to the Bay Area from, and playing a lot locally in the Santa Cruz area. So I got a taste of touring and playing punk rock with those guys. And I was a drummer. So that's, what I did. Oh,
shit. Hank 3 was a drummer too, actually. That's cool.
That's right, man. Yeah. I was a big Hank 3 fan.
I was too, man. That's kind of how I got started into everything. His son's killing it right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that, man.
That's awesome. I opened up for him a couple weeks ago and wasn't sure what to expect, but it blew my fucking mind.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't listened to his stuff, man. I haven't got around to it.
You know who got me into his stuff and convinced me to like him was Shooter, actually, at that same show.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. That's what we spent our time doing, is listening to that album.
Oh, that's awesome.
But so is that kind of what obviously, I don't know, we're all musicians and shit, so most of us are fucked up and probably destined to do drugs anyways, but is that kind of where you started getting into it pretty heavy, or was there other shit?
Yeah, there was it was probably before that. What definitely wasn't those guys, fault or influence, because they all did pretty recreational, just pretty tame stuff. They like to drink and smoke and stuff like that, but they weren't doing anything crazy. But I think like with my, personality and kind of just like my, the way that I would do things, like I wasn't really able to do that like they were. Like I would just take it to the next level and just kind of get crazy. And I played in a bunch of other bands, like, some other bands that were a little more hard partying when I was a little younger and then a little older. Pretty much just ended up kind of getting into it through that scene altogether, because there was a lot of guys in the Santa Cruz area that were into punk rock, and they were into that, skateboarding and surfing and punk rock and whatnot, or they were like, fishermen or whatever. It's just kind of roughneck dudes, and then they would get in trouble for drugs and they'd go to prison or jail, and then they'd come back, and these were like, friends, older brothers and guys like that we knew, and they had this whole kind of weird prison mentality now that kind of was kind of infiltrated the whole community there. There's just this kind of, a lot of people think they go to Santa Cruz and they're like, oh, it's, beaches and palm trees and nice, and then up in the mountains it's the redwoods and this and that, but it has just, when you grow up somewhere, I'm sure like there's a whole different underbelly that if you grow up there, about, and if you know where to look for, it's everywhere, so that whole scene, it's very easy to get into, really, like meth and heroin. Those are the things that are just everywhere in that area. And so, just slowly kind of got it from partying, doing just kind of party drinking, party drugs, stuff like that, into the heavier drugs. And started hanging out with, less of my music friends and more of just, hardened criminals and people like that. And that's kind of how it happened. It was just kind of almost a seamless, weird thing that just morphed into that. And then that's what I was doing. And I ended up selling my drum set. I pawned it, and, lost every material thing that I had. I was living living with my mom at the time. She would kick me out. I'd go stay with my dad. He kicked me out. And I would stay with friends, stay with my old bandmates. They would kick me out, and then after a while I had no place to stay, so I'd just be kind of out on the street or staying at drug motels and places like that. And I forget what your question even was.
No, I do too. That's all right. The one thing I do want to say though is it's so weird to hear these stories about you and read about them, because I'd read a bunch too.
Mm-hmm.
And because when I met you, you have such a like calm energy about you and very I don't know, just the opposite of what you were back then. It seems like, I would never have like pinned you as somebody who'd been down that kind of road until you posted that post. And I was like, fuck, man, like you could see in your eyes in that picture just a different person and a kid that was angry and fucking pissed off at the world. And
Definitely.
but yeah, your whole fucking energy is like totally different than all of that, man. And I think too, and I can't even relate to the amount of shit you've went through. I've had my own little bouts of things and whatever, and but the biggest thing that I've had to overcome, and that usually involves, why we do the things we do, is just figuring out why I'm angry and figuring out why these things are the way they are. And that's how you fix even like things like why you're using drugs, and just a long battle to get to the point where, and I can't tell you, like, I know how you are, but I can tell that you're probably a lot more centered now than you were then. And
oh yeah, definitely.
The journey to get to that place is a fucking long one, and I'm kind of in the middle of one myself right now. So like I respect people that can do that and then come out on the other end and just bring something really positive to the world and to other people's lives, in general.
Yeah.
It also makes me respect you more as an artist too, like, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I just like can tell when somebody's real and somebody's bullshitting, and the music hits a lot harder when I know it's authentic,
That means a lot, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And
I feel the same way. I think that like if you've been through, and that's not to say somebody who hasn't been through, certain stuff. Everybody's been through something in their life, everybody, but life is not easy. But I feel like when you go through hard stuff and you come out the other side and you get to learn about people and about yourself, it's like easier almost to call yourself out for, like, how you were saying, like looking at the why of why you're behaving that way, or you're angry, or you're this or that. Like I still struggle with that all the time. I'll get angry, or I'll have negative thoughts, or think bad about somebody, or hold a grudge or whatever. Like I still have those things, but I've learned how to kind of disarm myself almost and be like, that you're getting back into that crazy thinking, you know what I mean? You're able to just kind of be like, that's not reality right now.
Well, yeah, and when you put yourself in that place, it gets really familiar real quick, whether you stay sober or not, and that's the biggest battle I think anybody has, because people that are use because they have those things inside of them a lot of the time, and a lot of it's put in there from trauma from childhood, and that's where the shit needs to be nipped in the bud at, working in mental health. It's really opened my mind up to where like 90% of people, whether they're rich, poor, middle class, whatever, if they start using, it's because of some kind of trauma from their childhood,
Sure, yeah.
Well, and speaking of which, I read a little bit about your childhood too. It's so your mom was a welder?
Yeah, she is, man. She still she teaches welding at Soquel High School in the Santa Cruz area.
That is a unique trade for a woman, man.
I know it is.
A lot of my family weld, but they're all roughneck dudes, man. I've never So
I
when I
know.
read that, I was like, shit, that's cool. His dad's a salesman, his mom's a welder. Like, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
rad.
My dad, growing up, my dad sold paint for Kelly Moore Paint Company.
Huh.
And they had an office in Santa Cruz. So I, kind of grew up going down there and being around those guys. I always joke around about, the whole salesman, being a salesman, like as a musician or whatever, you're trying to essentially like, sell your music and get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing that did help me is my dad always taught me those little things of like, I'd watch him do, meet clients or people that were coming in to buy paint. And they were always just these like roughneck painter dudes. My dad used to be one of those. He used to paint as well. So he knew all of them by name, shook their hand, looked them in the eye. And that was kind of like I feel like my training for like doing what I do now and like making relationships and stuff. And
Yeah, it's real important. People don't get that. It's probably where one of my biggest downfall is because like now that I'm like sober-ish, like I still drink every once in a while, but I had to kind of pump the brakes on my shit because I was getting out of control too. So I don't drink, especially at shows. I don't drink really all that much. But yeah, with me, like learning how to be that person without being drunk was real
sure.
fucking hard.
Oh, definitely, man.
Yeah, because I get my hackles come up around people sometimes, just not because I'm trying to be a snob. I just like, I don't know, I have ADD too. So like when there's a lot of shit going on around me, I can't focus. So it's like some people think I'm an asshole because I can't focus
like
on
distracted and whatnot.
Yeah,
I get distracted too at shows because there's like a million conversations happening and I always zero in on something, and it's hard to pay attention to the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom is, still welding and grew up with her doing that. She went back to school in her 40s and got her teaching credentials. She had already been welding, and so she got those so she could teach welding. And she's been doing that a long time now. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's rad, man. Yeah, my grandpa went back to school when he was like 50 to actually become a drug counselor because he was a severe alcoholic. Like people don't understand, like fuck people can drink just as bad as they can do meth,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
My grandpa was like the biggest piece of shit in the world. In fact, he told me, like, actually, one of my friends took a class from him once and said that somebody was like, "Oh, what the fuck do you know? You just like drink or you're just an alcoholic." And my grandpa was like, "I used to do meth just to fucking keep drinking."
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, I've known, yeah, for sure. I mean, shit, I've been there and I've known people like that, that's like, yeah, it's just as bad, man, just because it's legal.
Yeah.
I think people kind of give it a different thing, but it can be abused,
For sure. And then whiskey or, whiskey or hard liquor, it just makes certain people mean as shit too,
Yeah. Yeah, that's very
especially
true.
I don't want to sound too like stereotypical or like kind of racist, but like if you got native blood in you, like
sure. Yeah.
Those
I mean,
guys are wild.
There's certain people that like it just does not mix with, and like it makes sense. People had more like a pure bloodline, and the people who came here and then you introduce liquor and fuck them all up. Unfortunately,
Well, cool. So, hey, I got about 1 minute left on this segment. I'm going to end it so we can come back with a fresh 40 minutes and finish it off with like what you're up to music wise.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Awesome. Just hit that same link and I'll be right here. Okay.
Okay. Sweet.
All right. Bye. All righty, folks. Welcome back. Due to operator error, I'm pretty sure it's like 2 months later since we did the first one. And thank you a lot for allowing me to get the second part done because I didn't save the second part from the original one we did. And then you went out on tour and we're super busy anyway. So I appreciate you taking the time to come back on and finish up this interview so the people.
Yeah, of course, man. No, I'm glad we got to make it up,
Yeah. And tell Jody I'm super appreciative of her like keeping in contact with me. Like you guys are awesome to work with and stuff.
Oh, absolutely, man. I will tell her. She'll be happy to hear that.
So yeah, in the last segment we talked a little bit about your past, like where you grew up, your sobriety, stuff like that. And so I guess like last time when we segued in, we were talking about what you're going to do. And So I guess we could talk about the tour you were just on a little bit. How was all that?
Yeah, man. It was great. We just we were out on the road with American Aquarium. I mean, before that, back up a little bit. We did some stuff in Nashville for Americana Fest. That was a whole, lot of fun, and a bunch of stuff that I had never done before, getting to be a part of that festival. So that was really cool. And I'm trying to think about it in chronological order here. It's crazy. The year has been so busy. We've been on the road, pretty much all year. So they're all kind of blurring together. But I know Nashville was killer on this last run. And then after Nashville, we kind of made our way out to the Midwest to meet up with American Aquarium. And that was interesting and really fun because I got to do some duo touring with just me and my steel player. And we were just opening up for them, each night after night. And I think we did about 10 or 12 shows. And that was great. And at the end of that, we made our way out to Richmond Folk Fest, which was kind of like cherry on top for the whole thing. It was a very cool festival, man. A lot of cool people there, and a lot of music I had never heard of before, but that was pretty killer to listen to. So all in all, this past couple months since I talked to you, it's been good.
Nice. Yeah, I saw about it. Actually, it's kind of funny because on the last segment that was deleted, I'm pretty sure we're talking about your favorite places to tour, and I'll ask that later. But I was like, I love Detroit. And then sure enough, a few days later, I saw you guys got into some shit in Detroit where somebody stole your catalytic converter.
Oh yeah, man. That was actually, it was when we played Detroit that night. And then we got into the halfway point between Detroit and Cleveland for us was Toledo. And so we decided to stop off and stay in Toledo, and which everybody told us once we got to Cleveland. They said, you never stop in Toledo, And that was kind of the joke, the whole tour. But we stopped there. No offense to anybody from Toledo. But we stopped there and, slept for the night and woke up and we had no catalytic converter in the morning. So luckily we found a good shop. Gentleman helped us out big time. And, we went to a few different shops and they tried to kind of price gouge us. And, we're pretty street smart and whatnot, so we were kind of like, I don't know about this. Tyler actually suggested we go someplace else. Sure enough, we went there and found a good, honest mechanic who fixed it up for us. We did a live stream because we had to come out of pocket to pay for that. And, we were already on a shoestring budget. And luckily the live stream, people kicked in enough money to where we got it covered. So that was kind of an eventful part of that tour, definitely.
Rad. That's a good, man. It's kind of weird to me to know you're still struggling that hard, man. You seem to me like you're doing pretty well, but I guess the cost goes up on touring when it's like cost goes up like anything you do.
Yeah. It's, we had the money to get it paid for. It wasn't like we were up a creek or whatever with it. And this is, how I make my living. We're doing good, but on that specific tour with American Aquarium, it's like, with our shows where we're doing our headline stuff, if we have a lot of people there, we're making good money, but or decent money. But then when we're out on the road as support, it's like people forget that you're getting paid not a lot, to open for people and to do that. And so it's interesting. It was kind of cool and also humbling to do that and go back to doing those support dates. And it happened at a weird time. We were like, okay, these are the leanest shows we've done in a while, and then bam, got hit with that. But we're doing okay.
Good, man. So who was at that festival you played at?
That was the festival, man. A bunch of bands that there's Cedric Burnside, if you heard of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that dude, he was pretty incredible. Got to see him. There's a lot of blues, Zydeco, some Brazilian music, some European artists, all kinds of stuff that I had never even heard of. And got to listen to, some badass musicians, got to jam with some people. They did kind of a collaborative thing that we got to be a part of.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool. I didn't know what to think going into, as a folk fest. I kind of naturally imagined like everybody singing Kumbaya and holding hands and stuff, but
yeah.
it ended up being better than I ever could have hoped for, man. Very
Well,
cool.
I don't know, man. I think this generation of folk people like look at it different than like people that truly know about music do. Cause like when I think about folk, I think about like Peter, Paul, Mary, the Kingston Trio, so
Sure.
yeah, and you can link like even Bob Dylan, stuff like that into it, Woody Guthrie, but there's a couple of different styles of folk, but I feel like today there's like a million different genres of it.
It's true.
So,
Those guys, I have a buddy named Nick Foster who I co-wrote. He used to play bass in my band, and we co-wrote that song on my new record, Looking Back. That song, we co-wrote it together. He always called that kind of folk, like Peter, Paul, and Mary, like turtleneck folk.
yeah, that's pretty like a good way to describe it.
And I just, when he said that, I was like, man, that's the best way I've ever heard it described.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever describe it any other way now, to be honest.
Turtleneck folk.
Yep, turtleneck folk. Yep, my grandpa loved that stuff. He used to play it all the time when I was a kid. But
oh yeah,
there's
some good stuff, man.
Yeah. So I think on the last one, I should probably stop saying that, but so I think we talked about like some of your like who's some of the like people that you were just like that you've met that were like some of your heroes maybe growing up, or like somebody you just super admired as a musician that you're like extra stoked to play with.
Oh man, there have been a lot of people, let's see, say probably like on the new record, or came out last year, new in record terms, I guess. I got to do a duet with Raul Malo from the Mavericks. He's just a badass, and just an incredible voice. So he's kind of one of those guys that you meet, and I met, and I knew he was just a really nice, good person, just from kind of the interactions and whatnot, and all the other people that I know that were friends with him. He's just a very got a good energy, you know what I mean? He's just a good dude, and I'd say Raul's probably one of my favorite people that I've gotten to like personally work with. Other than that, getting to meet people, I got to meet Emmylou Harris, which was pretty incredible. That was great. She's another one. I didn't get to say more than 2 words to her, but she just is kind of like an angel, She's just very cool.
Yeah, she's yeah, that would be amazing. I thought about for a while lying to people telling her we were related. I'm just kidding. Somebody joked about that one.
Oh yeah, Emmylou.
Yeah, they're like, hey, because back when Hank 3 was like super on the circuit, everybody's like, you should lie to people, tell me you're related to Emmylou Harris.
Yeah, that's my auntie Emmylou.
Yeah. But yeah, she's awesome, man. And I would love to sit down and just hear her tell stories about fucking the shit she's seen, man. Like
right.
With Graham Parsons and shit,
Oh yeah, I know. It's crazy, man. All these people. My brother just saw. He hit me up the other day. He went and saw Willie Nelson. And it's just crazy. I've seen Willie a few times, and it's incredible that these guys that have been doing it so long, since the 50s, are still out on the road doing it. And had such a long career. Merle Haggard, up until he died, was on the road. Willie Nelson is still on the road. So even though I haven't got to personally meet, either of those guys, like the people like that are my heroes, the people that are out there doing it and just have maintained,
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, man. Everybody was kind of shitting on Toby Keith for a while, and I get it. But there was a story that I heard, and you might have heard it too, that kind of changed my whole perspective on him. And Merle Haggard's last show, he was super sick, and he made it about halfway through his set, and Toby Keith came to just watch. And Merle came back and was like, how many of my songs do you know? And Toby said, I know every one of your songs. And he just handed him the guitar and was like, will you finish this for me? Because I'm done.
Wow. That is incredible. I have heard that story, but I didn't remember that it was Toby Keith. That's pretty
I don't
crazy.
know if I told it accurately, but I know it was Toby Keith. I might have screwed something up, but
No, I've heard that story like exactly that way. I just forgot that it was him. That's crazy, man.
yeah.
That's dude, Toby, he's some of that early stuff is killer, man. You know, that first record. We had his first album in the van last year. So anytime I hear Should Have Been a Cowboy, that song reminds me of just being in the van, you know?
Yeah, it reminds me of being a kid. I remember
exactly.
it.
It's one of those nostalgic type tunes, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, man, and I can say what I'm about to say, the same exact thing about Post Malone too. Is like the one thing I can say about Toby Keith too is he is a true lover of music. Like he knows the history of it front to back, and
oh yeah.
And even if I don't care for his music, I at least appreciate artists, even if their music's kind of garbage or I think it's like, kind of catered just to sell. If somebody at least appreciates the people that paved the way for him, I can have a lot more respect for him that way.
No, absolutely, man. That's it. He knows this. People who know their stuff, that's you can appreciate it
because at least means they're in it for the right reasons. Like they're at least in it, like they've been moved by it. So they feel it at least the same way, and maybe they just don't write the same way, but they
they interpret it a different way or whatever.
Yeah. They might not have it in them to write like deep music, but
that's an interesting way to think of it. That's a cool way to think of it.
Yeah. But yeah, like I developed a pretty like high respect for Post Malone slowly through the years for that same reason. Like he's got Hank Williams tattooed on his knuckle. And once I saw that, I was like, all right, this guy's cool in my book. Like
dude, somebody was telling me that he's teasing it doing a country record.
He has been, yeah, and they were talking about, and I don't know if this is just some other crap I read, but Sturgill Simpson producing it.
Wow, that would be.
He's a huge Sturgill fan. There's videos of him doing covers of Sturgill songs,
and they're good, man.
Yeah, they are.
That, and he actually has a great voice for country music. I was surprised.
And on the other side of that, I'm a huge Nirvana fan, and during COVID, they did a live stream with him, and Travis Barker was on drums, and he slayed a whole Nirvana set. Wow. And he wasn't just playing, it was just a 3-piece, I think. They might have had another guitar player, actually, so it might have been a 4-piece, but he slayed every one of them, so he can play, too. Everybody just thought he was like a SoundCloud rapper, but he can play an instrument, too, and sing without auto-tune.
Yeah.
Like, he nailed it, and he wasn't playing just, like, stuff off the albums, But.
No, he's a talented guy. I saw a video the other day where I think it was an old video, but he went to a record shop, and he was dressed in like the uniform that they wear at this record shop, and he was kind of like thinly disguised and would kind of talk to people and just ask them if they needed help. And you'd be surprised how many people didn't recognize him until, he took off the hat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this one little kid who was so thrilled. He's like, "Who's your favorite artist?" And this little kid's like, "Post Malone." And the kid didn't even recognize him, takes off his hat, and the kid just loses his mind. And I don't know, kind of going back to what you're saying, guys like, that you admire for stuff, even though you're not huge on their music. I can't name a Post Malone song, but I think he's cool as hell, at the same time. Talented guy.
So anyways, that was a tangent. I probably
No, yeah, me too. I can go off on those. So
yeah. Trying to think. So on the last one, and this is stuff I wanted to cover again because I loved recording this part with you last time.
Oh yeah.
Like, what are some of your like favorite places to play, and some of your maybe I shouldn't say least, but and then maybe segue in from that to like some of your craziest tour stories or like a couple.
Okay, I'd say favorite. I gotta say my favorite place I think is in Santa Cruz, California, that area, just because that's where I'm from, and I've had like the support of my whole career, like since I started playing music. That's where I started doing it, and the people there have come out, and it's grown over the years, and that's just even though I don't live there, that's kind of always going to be, I think, the home of where my heart is in getting started in music. That fan base and those people there have carried me, in a lot of ways, especially in the beginning. So I'd say probably that. I also love playing in Texas. Just because there's kind of that culture of music here. That's great, you know. Least favorite? Is that the question?
Well, I shouldn't say least favorite because that kind of puts you in a weird spot, but maybe some of your worst show stories, like some of the craziest shit you've had happen at a show, like just fucking bad show stories.
Oh yeah. One time I had to kind of borderline tackle a guy who I don't know if I told this story on the
Did
last one.
that's
Okay.
why I loved it.
Yeah. So that was it, man. I'll just kind of sum that one up. Basically, we were playing this place up in Truckee, California, and the place was all right. You know, it was just kind of a restaurant gig though.
Mm-hmm.
And this is years, I think a few years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. So we were just playing what we could at that time. As we're going through the set, there's people watching. There's also people sitting down eating dinner. And this guy shows up and he's just getting belligerent, starts dancing around. And it was like a Chris Farley movie or something. You know, the way that he went over to this woman, he was becoming a problem. He was just getting crazy. And I knew something was going to happen. And he basically went up to this woman as she was like eating her dinner. And he grabbed her shoulders and he was like, yeah, like shaking her at the table, you know. And I saw that and I was like about to do something. And then right then he comes up toward the stage and starts doing this, you know, the dance where people like stick their legs out, like crouch down on the ground, you know, like a wedding type deal or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell you call that.
Know, yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
8 Seconds, that movie, 8 Seconds, I think.
Yeah, dude, exactly, man, like that. So he does that in front of the stage, falls backwards, eats shit into the microphone, knocks it into my face, and then snaps my cable off into my pedals that I had set up. And I just grabbed him. First I took my telly off. I was playing electric at the time, threw my guitar down and grabbed him and just basically drug him out to the door. Hope I'm not leaving anything out on that story. It's like one of those stories that gets crazier every time you tell it. Next time I tell it. But anyway, it was, you know, could have been a hell of a lot worse. But if I'm thinking about shows that were
also, hold on, before you go on, anybody who's listening from an artist standpoint, nothing will fucking piss me off more than getting hit in the fucking mouth with a microphone.
Oh yeah,
it fucking hurts, man. Every time it's happening, it's spitting fucking blood out, and it fucking pisses me the fuck off. Like,
yeah,
the same shit happened.
And when you're just you're up there, you're burying your soul, you're trying to entertain people, you're giving your all, and then some jackass comes on there and wants to make it about him. And I get it, people are having fun, like, but there's a fine line between like when you're having a good time and getting rowdy, that's all good. But when you start making it about you and getting violent and like disrupting other people's time, this isn't a punk rock show or a metal show. Like, we're sitting at a restaurant listening to country music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, even then, people are doing that shit in a different manner anyways. You know, those people that fucking do that shit during a country show are people, they're going to cause problems at a punk show somehow anyways, because they just want the attention on them, you know?
Yeah.
They're not using that as an outlet like punk rockers or metalheads, you know? They're using a fucking way to bring attention to themselves, try to get...
Yeah, there's always those, you know, those types who are going there just for the attention factor.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'll let you keep going. Well, you're saying something else about another story, I think.
Oh, I was just going to say, man, you know, that whole deal could have been a lot worse, but if I was going to say, man, if I were to lump like a group of things into like my least favorite shows, which I'm also grateful to have gotten in the beginning because that's what we played and that's what got our chops up and got us to where we're at, is like the restaurant gigs.
Oh yeah,
you know? When you're playing and people are just kind of eating their dinner and there's TVs going and nobody cares, it's like that's some soul sucking work.
Yeah,
you know?
took a pay cut at my job and started getting a few more of those. And I did one a couple weeks ago, and I was
I've
like,
done so
fuck,
many of them.
I don't miss this at all.
They pay the bills.
They pay well, yeah.
Exactly, and there's no shame in that whatsoever. But from the artist standpoint, that's
yeah.
I
And
don't
I'm not
do
trying to
those
shit on
anymore,
any owners either, because usually the owners are really nice. There's just a certain
Oh.
mentality in that setting, the wineries, the breweries, the fucking,
Yep.
like you said, like there's a
Yeah.
certain mentality where people that you're just their fucking background noise, you know?
Yeah, and generally the owners are like you said, good people, and they're fans of good music.
Yeah, they're fans.
Like, hey, let's get this music, and they're like, everybody will appreciate it, right? And then they get you there, and then nobody gives a shit, because they're there to.
And you can tell they kind of feel awkward about it too. They're like, oh fuck.
Totally. It's
I
like
really
this
like this
thing that
person's
happened.
music, but like these people are talking over the top of them, you know? Yeah.
No, that's true.
Mhm. But yeah, I don't know if I'm that desperate. I decided that night, maybe not. I tested the waters. I was like, I could be doing worse. Like maybe, it's not door dashing, but
Oh yeah.
I don't know. For me, I always just play originals. I don't play too many covers. So like I don't have 2 hours worth of material, 3 hours worth of material. So like I have to practice. And then I'm always like, I'll practice, and I don't. So I'm scrambling like, what John Prine song do I know? What's this room like? Like it's just
reading the room and doing all that for sure. That's kind of similar to playing like dance halls. Like in Texas, all the
you want to play all the hits there too, I bet, so they can dance.
Yeah,
yep.
Which I love doing, and they want to hear George Strait, they want to hear Merle Haggard, Hank Williams. They want the stuff that they know, and it's another interesting thing is they'll do like, especially at the older demographic dance halls, like the Broken Spoke. A lot of older folks go there. I love that place. It's old school as it gets. But the folks there, if you play too many shuffles in a row, they're going to be like, play a waltz. And they'll be kind of pissed about it. They'll be like, hey, it's time to play a waltz. They'll tell you, you got to switch it up. Can't be playing all the same stuff. So that's like a whole different deal. It's kind of similar to playing the restaurant. You got to read the room. You got to.
Yeah. I've never been like that far into the country scene to do that. I know about it though. I know that there's, I have a lot of friends who can do that. There's a place in Seattle called the Little Red Hen, and they hire.
Oh yeah, I've played there a bunch of times, man. That's like 2018, 2019. That was like a spot we hit.
Honestly, man, if you're playing originals, I'm almost surprised they had you, because usually I want to fill out like 4 hours and nothing but covers.
We would do that. I mean, shit, I would play all the originals I had. And then we do a ton of covers, and we'd stretch every song out to be like 6 minutes long. So you're just playing yeah. We'd stretch like all the cover section, and we'd be like, all right, take another solo, and then somebody else would go and be like, drum solo, and we just keep it going. But I think there's a video actually I saw recently of us at the Little Red Hen, and it is just packed with dancers. And that place, you would think it's in, San Antonio or Austin or someplace like that. But it's not. It's in Seattle, downtown Seattle. It's pretty crazy that place exists,
Yeah. Yeah. There might be a little noise here in a second. My kid's leaving. So.
That's all right.
Yeah. Just thought I'd give everybody a heads up. Yeah, of course, slam the door. That's all right. Yeah, man. Sorry, I have ADD bad. So like when something goes on, I just like lose my whole fucking train of thought. So
you're good, man.
But yeah, Little Red Hen. That's kind of
that's a badass spot. No, I'm right there with you, man. Honestly, I've been since we've been on the road, I've been home, this last week, and I've been getting to do some like outdoor stuff and kind of just get stuff done around the house. But I haven't been home much this year, so it's been a weird adjustment, and I'm finally getting used to it. But it's been so nice to just kind of not be in the van for a little bit.
You look like.
So if I see. Oh, go ahead.
like, yeah, I don't want you to take offense to this, but right now, just by how you looked before and how you look now,
Yeah.
you look like you're ready to be off the road for a minute, you know, just
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I'm
it beats
pretty
the hell out
tired.
of you, man. And it doesn't get easier the older you get. And I don't know, I took a big break in mine, you know, and I still don't even nearly hit it as hard as you do, but like usually I go out 3-4 weeks a month at a time, you know, or maybe 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And even that, just going to
Right.
Chicago, from Oregon to Chicago and back, just like it
Oh,
takes
that's a
a
haul.
week just to recoup from that, you know. Like I used to be able to bounce back. I remember when I went on my first tour, we went out for 3 months. And
Oh, damn.
I was like, when I got back, I was like, I didn't even want to come home. I was like, why are we like home? And then we took a break,
Oh
a
yeah.
month-long break, and went out for another month and a half. And everybody was bitching there, but they'd been doing it forever. But I was like, fucking let's go. I was like,
Yeah.
then I booked my own
Fired
first
up.
tour after that. Yeah, I loved it at first. But yeah, the older you get, it hurts, man. So it hurt your voice. It's harder on your voice the older you get. It's harder on your
It's true.
bones, your joints. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you look like you're happy to be home right now for a minute,
Oh,
man.
for sure, man. Yeah, it's been nice, man, just getting to get outside a little bit and enjoy the little stuff in life that you kind of take for granted when you're out there. Cause I love being on the road. I enjoy it a lot, you know, but you forget how nice it is to have a little time to think and not be around 6 other people, you know, constantly all day, every day, which is great. I love my band. I love the folks, you know, on the road, but it's nice to have a thought to yourself. Get
Well, and as a
centered.
writer too, man, you need that time to focus a lot of times,
You
at
do.
least to write the deeper cuts, you know, like
It's true.
the more personal shit, it doesn't come out when you're jamming out or practicing or fucking hanging out with your homies on the road, you know. I mean, maybe sometimes, but you got to be in the right state of mind, the right mode, you know, and
No,
sometimes,
it's true.
at least for me, that doesn't come when there's a bunch of shit going on around me. It always comes when the dust settles, you know, and
Yep. No, I'm the same way. You
that
gotta
goes
have.
with everything. Like if I'm going through shit, like personal shit, like I'm not writing then. I always write when I'm reflecting on it, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
um
No, that's true.
yeah. But yeah, and your voice, man, I imagine you have a fucking good voice and you play some pretty long sets sometimes. So I imagine it gets to be hard after a minute too.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it definitely is. Everybody's voice is different, you know. Like for whatever reason, I had I was losing my voice quite a bit, and I was kind of concerned about it. So I went to a doctor, like a ENT doctor, and just to ask, like, hey, do I have any like, I think they're like nodules or something, nodes or whatever. I forget what they're called exactly. Like
Yeah.
uh, in your throat, you know, from basically abusing it, you know, over and over and over. And they checked it out and said it's all good, but that your vocal cords, you know, contract and they're like that. They're like these flaps essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess when the average person talks, you know, they do a lot of moving and whatnot in order to make the sounds. Mine constrict more than the average person, he told me. He was like, you probably learned to speak that way, but like, if you're probably singing that way, and that's probably contributing to how your voice going out more frequently. So he basically was like, if you see somebody and you learn how to overcome that, it's something you can unlearn and have a more relaxed voice, you know, and not blow it out all the time. But luckily, it hasn't happened in a little bit. I got to go see that doctor again, though. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, that makes sense too. And maybe if I don't know I don't know if you've ever taken vocal coachings, but maybe somebody like
I
that
have a little bit.
yeah, maybe they could teach you how to relax your vocal cords a bit, and that probably might even help you get to even more of a crazy range. That would be nuts.
Yeah, no, I'd
Hair
be.
metal after that.
Yeah, I could do some Slayer screams and whatnot. Yeah, I would love to be able to just, you know, learn that stuff. I want to take more guitar lessons. I want to learn how to do some stuff. You ever get to the point on guitar with your playing where you're like, man, I'm playing the same stuff?
Yeah, just for the last fucking 10, 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a
That's
talented
it.
guitar player. I am a fucking I'm cut and dry. I'm not all that good, you know?
Well, you got, you're a songwriter, and I think that, for me, I am too, but I've always loved playing guitar, like lead as much as I can, but I'm pretty limited as to like, I have a very unconventional way of playing guitar, it's not like classically trained at all. It's just listening and playing type deal. So I'd love to get, some guitar lessons and just kind of learn some new stuff. And I don't know what I'm talking about. We're just riffing right now.
Yeah, man. Well, I kept you on here for quite a minute, man. So I appreciate you coming back on.
Oh,
And
absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
so is there any shows coming up that you want to promote? I know you said you're kind of pumping the brakes for a sec. So
Yeah, we've got 4 shows, just about 4 shows left for the rest of the year. And I'll go ahead and tell you which ones those are coming up. We're going to be on the 29th of October. We are doing a show at the White Horse in Austin, Texas. That's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that. And then on Saturday, the 5th of November, we're going to be in Fort Worth, Texas at Magnolia Motor Lounge. It's going to be a real fun one as well. Sorry, I'm looking at the calendar here. And then I know there's another one in there somewhere that I'm forgetting, but here's the big one. Here's the important one. We're doing New Year's Eve in Austin, Texas at the Sagebrush. That's going to be with Rob Linus and Whitney Rose kicking things off. It's going to be a really fun show.
yeah.
So if anybody's listening and you want some New Year's Eve plans, Austin, Texas, that is the plan.
Nice. All right, man. Thank you so much, Jesse. I appreciate you so much for coming back on. And
You got it, man. Thanks for having me.
yeah, man. I'll hit you up down the road and see where you're at. I think Jody was saying you're gonna pump the brakes on podcasts for a minute. So, but maybe I'll watch, see when you're putting something new out and hit you up then.
Definitely, man. That sounds good. I'd love to do it again once we do get something else going.
All right. It was good to see you, man. Thank you so much.
Likewise, man. I appreciate you.
Yep. Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.